When Giorgia Meloni told the European Union to think twice before stealing Russia's frozen assets, it wasn't Kremlin propaganda, as Europeans would want the world to believe in. It was the final voice of sanity in a Brussels asylum. What the Eurocrats are doing isn't just illegal and can be considered as a suicidal piracy. The theft of sovereign reserves will detonate the post-war financial system, and the rest of the world is already taking notes. Hello and welcome again to the Edge Politics podcast. Geopolitical Queen here with today's episode on how the European Union was planning to steal Russia's frozen assets to hand over to Ukraine. So what happened again? According to the Italian President Giorgia Meloni, and I quote, "We believe, and we are not the only ones, that it is necessary to respect international rules and the principality of legality. The European Union must protect the financial and monetary stability of our economies and the Eurozone," unquote. The European Commission's plan to use over 210 billion euros in frozen Russian central bank assets as collateral to fund Kiev in 2026-2027 is not just lawless, it's existentially reckless. The entire post-Bretton Woods financial architecture rests on the idea that sovereign reserves held in trust are sacrosanct. Break that trust once, and every single sovereign creditor from Africa to Asia starts asking, who is next? The moment a Western financial institution like Belgium's Euroclear becomes an instrument of political confiscation, it ceases to be neutral infrastructure. It becomes a battlefield. Sovereign reserve managers from Saudi Arabia, Brazil, India, and China are watching this unfold not with shock, but with clarity. The West has decided to weaponize the monetary system. That means the game is over. De-dollarization, de-euroization, and de-dollar-denominated trade routes aren't just theoretical anymore. They are now mandatory self-defense mechanisms. The fact is, this is no longer about Ukraine. The war is already lost. What's unfolding now is a rearguard scorched earth policy. The European Union, unable to win on the battlefield, is trying to win time from its own collapse through financial vandalism. But here is a basic truism. You cannot win a financial war if your system depends on global trust. And that trust has just been smashed with a brick, thanks to their president Ursula von der Leyen. If Russia is just a gas station with nukes, parading as a country as the so-called Atlanticist ignorantis claims, then why are they trying to rob it like it is the last vault on earth? Why are European pension funds, dollar-exposed banks, and fragile bond markets being leveraged just to bleed a few more billion into an Ukrainian state that increasingly resembles a bankrupt fortress of a grift? The answer is clear. The West is broke and it is panicking. But to Russia's advantage, Russia is already 2 moves ahead. President Putin has made it explicit. The real punishment isn't lawsuits or tit-for-tat seizures. It is in building the architecture that makes Western theft irrelevant. Gold-backed trade settlements, BRICS Plus, banking infrastructure, national currency denominated bilateral swaps, and so on and so on. Russia doesn't need to win lawsuits in The Hague. It just needs to demonstrate that if you park your reserves in Brussels, you are a sucker. Remember, the Ponzi only works on trust and credibility? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the grand irony. In trying to punish Russia, the European Union is doing exactly what Russia wanted the world to know about. That was revealing the Western financial system as predatory, arbitrary, and terminally politicized. That's the final phase of transition to multipolarity. You don't need tanks to win. You just need to make the people know and realize that the so-called rules-based order is a con. And President Putin has done very well in exposing these laws. So indeed, Giorgia Meloni deserves some credit on this issue. At least as a technocrat, she remembered what the rule book said. The United States, for example, can afford to be reckless, as their currency is still the global reserve, at least for now. But what about Europe? These European school kids, leading countries in Europe, just handed over their economic soul to a collapsing war plan and expected no blowback. That, folks, was not policy. That is junky logic. So now that Russia isn't breaking, but rather getting victorious, now that it's building its trade corridors, de-dollarizing and thriving, the European mask is dropping. The European Union doesn't know what to do. So what does it do next? They want to steal. History, however, will remember that it wasn't Moscow that tore down the global financial order. It was the United States in Brussels. So we say thank you to the EU and the United States for tearing down their own post-World War II financial system. So what do you think, folks? Is the European Union trying to weaponize the monetary system because they cannot win on the battlefield? Well, kindly leave your comments in the comment section below, and thanks for tuning in. I will be back with the next broadcast. Good day.